Honestly, one of the better, certainly cheaper, really good upgrades you can do on an older vehicle is to upgrade the lights to LED lights, at least the interior lights. Obviously, you can do all the outside. You see that all the time, turn signals. I've done a video on LED turn signals and some of the challenges that can present and some of the value as well. But the interior stuff, those lights, they're simple bulbs. They're actually really cheap. And it does make a huge difference in both kind of makes it a little more modern feeling, but also just visibility. They're just that much brighter. So here they are. The doors are open. Dome lights are on. Now it is the lights are on in here, but I'll show you here in a minute what it looks like. But it's not particularly bright. And so seeing inside the vehicle is kind of hard. It was the technology that was available of the day. So now we have different technology and you can just swap these out, plug and play. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how to plug and play swap the bulbs in your dome lights, your map lights, your door lights, all for relatively inexpensive LEDs. So let's get to it. Now I don't know for sure how well this will translate on camera, but I've turned the lights off in the barn and you can see what got the yellowy orange traditional halogen lights. So when we get done, we'll do the same test. We'll do a side-by-side comparison. We'll see how much brighter the LEDs are. And we'll start with this rear dome light and map lights. I'm putting some gloves on because I don't know if it's really as important with LEDs. With these kinds of halogen or incandescent bulbs, the oil from your fingers can get extra hot and can prematurely fail the bulb. So I always wear gloves when I'm changing the bulbs, but I don't think it's quite as important in this case. The other reason is these doors have been open for a little bit. It's part of this whole making this instructional video process, and these old bulbs get kind of hot. So it's a little warm in the shop today. My hands are all sweaty and they're just sticky and the gloves will not go on. I should have done this first before I got too deep into this project. But anyway, all right, where's my little screwdriver? Oh, we just pop this open. And up in here, there are 3 bulbs. I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's see if I can get you. Well, I'll just pull it out. It's easy enough. It's easier out of the headliner anyway. Yeah, it's already hot. There. Okay, so there's 3 bulbs. One of them's on already. And there's one on each side. And they're these cylindrical bulbs. Here, let me pull this one out. Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so hot. It's so hot it's melting the towel. So it is, let me just grab it like this. These tube style bulbs. These, I believe, are 44 millimeter. They come in different sizes depending on your application. 42, 50, 48, I think is another size. So check what size you have. But almost anywhere where you can get LED lights, they have all the sizes. So I got this from a company called Last Fit. I don't know a ton about them, but I have used them before. And my history on them is pretty good. There's another company that I really like, and they just didn't have any of this stuff in stock at the moment that I needed, called Diode Dynamics. I've used them a lot. They're an American company, have American-made products, and that has been my favorite. I'll put a link down for them as well. I don't get anything from them. I'm just a fan of theirs. These I'll put an Amazon link. I would get an affiliate. If you use that, I would get some kickback from them. But the Diode Dynamics lights are much better. They're a little pricier, but not terribly expensive. I think you can do the whole car, the whole truck kit for like $100. Why will this not come open? Oh, so, but I like them because they're an American company, and their lights last like forever. It'll be the last lights you ever put in your truck. So unless you choose to change them. And you can get them in different color temperatures, high intensity, low intensity, get a little more options for them. So if you're looking for a good American company, Diode Dynamics is a good one. But if you're looking for cheap, you can go the Amazon route, which is what I did. So these LEDs, they're directional. Some of them aren't. Some of them are two-sided. Just depends on your setup. So you want to make sure the LED is facing outward, of course. Otherwise, you're not going to see them. And don't do it, well, the bulb's just turned off, but these would be pretty bright. So you don't want to do it like facing your face when it's when they come on. There is a, like these are have a body to them, tight fit in the middle of that. So you're just going to get it lined up in between those brackets and then push it in. And then these two, those are the map, the on-demand like map lights for the rear. We'll do those two. One thing I learned with this truck, it just never occurred to me before. I'll show you, I'll get you a little closer and show you in a minute, but the bulbs themselves, the housing of the bulb is metal. So if you get it, you know, they are kind of a tight fit between the little fingers that hold the bulb in, and if you touch them together at the same time, you create a short and blow a fuse, which I did twice. So what I had to do is separate out those little ears a little bit so that the metal doesn't touch. I'll put a link down below to another set that I've used. These are just a little bit tighter fit for this particular housing, that are just a circuit board LED, and so the inside piece between the little prongs is plastic or whatever they make the circuit boards out of, so it's not going to be conductive. So for these trucks, I probably recommend that other one. I'll put a link down for those, but since I already have these, I'm going to keep using mine. Just got to separate those ears out a little bit. Just a little bit of just a little pressure and bend them out. Some LEDs are also directional, meaning they have a polarity to them. So if you put them in backwards, they don't work. So if you do that, you put them in and they don't work, try flipping them around. Sometimes that can be the reason. These work either way though, which is why I like them. I just don't like the fitment in this truck. I put them in another same model year, actually it was a year older, 04 Yukon, and they worked great. But you can already see how much brighter this is than what it was before. So we'll go up and do the two in the front now. So there's that housing. There's those little prongs that hold the light in. And the original bulbs are just this tube style with a metal piece at each end that makes a connection, but the inside's glass, so it's not making a connection other than through the filament to light the bulb up. In this case, the whole housing is metal, and so when I touch these together, if this metal piece here in the middle touches both ends, it'll short. So now both these prongs are touching this metal. So I had to bend them out just a little bit on each side, and then now it can sit in there without it touching. Nice and easy. There's a little bit of a hairline gap on either side of that metal between those prongs so it doesn't short. So I like the stability of these. They're nice and strong. I like the focused light direction, and it's got the reflective backing on it that makes it even a little bit brighter yet. And I like the fact that it's non-polarized, so it can go either way. But I don't like the fact that they should have made that center out of plastic, I think. So I'll put a link on some different ones. On these, you'll see if you look close, on one end, there'll be a little bit of a hole, little crack. You can put a tiny screwdriver in there if you have one of these, like a pick tool, that works really great. And you're just gonna pop the plastic lens off and lose it forever. And then the bulb's up inside. Now in this case, that bulb's kind of hard to get to. And then there's a chrome kind of cone. It just kind of peels out. And then you should be able to get the bulb with your fingers. If you got big fingers like mine, it might be kind of difficult. Maybe find somebody with smaller fingers, or get something with a little grip. It also can be kind of hot. That's the other reason why these gloves come in handy, is it can be a little tough to pull out. There. So these bulbs just have a little push pin on the back side. This is a pretty universal bulb. They use this bulb for like almost everything: glove box, console, doors. There's all kinds of versions of that bulb in the LED world. This is one I've got. One problem with these LEDs in these trucks, it's not true of every vehicle, but in this Silverado, or at least this era, it seems to be true. Done this I had a 05, 04, 05, 05 Avalanche, had the same story. They have these little reflectors, little plates that go up in the light and make the light, you know, direct the light back down. The bulb, the old bulb, fits through the hole. So this reflector sits, the bulb just barely sticks out in the end of the reflector. But the LED bulbs are wider, thicker, wider, whatever. And they do not go through the hole. But when they came out was the reflector came out first, then reach in and pull the bulb. In this case, they have to go in together. So you kind of feed the bulb inside the reflector. This one isn't quite long enough to get plugged in with its however deep it can get into that reflector plate. It's not deep enough to plug in behind it because it won't pass through. If you guys, any of you guys watching, if you have ever done this and you have a brand, a product, a link to a set of LEDs that are small enough to replicate the width of the halogen bulb, I think they're like just about 9 millimeter or just over, somewhere between 9 and 10 millimeter, and most of these LEDs are like 11, 12 millimeters, so they're just a little bit too big. But I've seen them as low as 10. The ones I have here are 10. We're gonna see if they're gonna work. These I had laying around the shop. They are way too big and way too short. Too fat, too short. So they don't work. So I'm gonna try these. These are a little skinnier. Don't think you'll be able to tell the difference on camera, but I don't, my micrometer isn't working, so otherwise I would show you. But these new ones from Oxido. I don't know anything about them, but they got good reviews. So I'm gonna try this. They don't seem to be a ton deeper. The thing is, I mentioned these are kind of annoying because they're dependent on polarity. So if I get it backwards and it doesn't work, then I got to do this all over again. And it's kind of hard to line it up inside this plate. Oh, that one's pretty long. That one might work. I just kind of do it by feel. Trying to get it lined up with that. I can plug it in first, make sure I've got the polarity right. Without the... There we go. See how much brighter that is? Okay, so oof, now I'm seeing spots. It's going to make it a little bit harder to do this. Just takes a little patience. Smaller fingers would help too. I wonder if I use a small pair of pliers. Just because my fat fingers won't fit. My sausage fingers will not fit up in that cavity. Let's try a little pair of pliers here. Careful with the pliers because LEDs can be a touch fragile. Come on, you're in there. There we go. Oh, that's right. The cover fell behind the seat. All right, I'll dig that one in a minute. Let's turn that one off so I'm not blinding myself. I'm already seeing a big purple spot where I'm trying to look. Not particularly helpful. But those bulbs work a lot better. Okay. How many things can I drop behind the seat? How about everything? Let's try that. Nope, that'll work. Okay. So very ever so lightly with a pair of pliers. Usually I can just pull them out with my fingers. But not today, I guess. Again, let's test polarity here. Oh. So if it doesn't work, just flip it 180 degrees. Try again. There you go. There we go. Now it's in. Okay. Let's go dig on here and find those lenses. Now, this truck doesn't have any other lights in it, but some of the upgraded packages do. They'll have one in the footwell right under here. If you look under here, you'll see a bracket. Mine is just a hole where a light socket would be. And this doesn't have the smoker package, so up in the middle there's a little cubby hole where there would be an ashtray. There's sometimes a light inside that ashtray, and there's one in the glove box. Different vehicles have, you know, like that, or some other locations where they're maybe in the center console. Some of them have other lights, maybe under the hood, and most of those use the same bulb. At least in the GM cases, all of these, those map light bulbs, those T10 bulbs, it's the same bulb they use for all of these applications. This truck is the base package, so it doesn't even have any of those options, so there's nothing to change there. But if there was, I would change those out. I may add some footwell lighting later, we'll see. I have some LED light strips, and I've added those before. They're kind of nice, but we'll see. I don't know, maybe we'll do that another day. But what it does have is lights in these doors at the bottom, so we're gonna change those out. But that's a little different. It doesn't use the same, well, it does use the same bulbs, but the option to replace them is a little different. So a couple things. In my case, the lens over top of this housing broke off. It's been broken since I got it. It was never here. The other door doesn't even have the housing, let alone a lens on a housing. So somebody's tried to do this already, I suspect, and either gave up on it or it failed or whatever. Let me pop this off. So normally there's a housing, it's glued on, so there's no pop housing off to change the bulb. The bulb would sit inside this socket that's in here. And to change it, you got to take the whole housing off. So you just look up a screwdriver underneath the edge of it here, or one of those trim tools, pop it loose, and then this just comes off. You can see inside that hole there, similar to those map lights up top, where it had a very small hole for the bulb to go through. The LEDs that I have are not going to go through there. You'd have to go through from the inside and plug into the socket, but you can't get to the inside because the lens is in the way. So if you just are replacing the bulbs with small standard incandescent bulbs because they burn out, then this is all you do. You just pop the housing off, pop the harness off, you got your socket right here, replace the bulb, and the bulb will fit through that hole, put it all back together, put it back on. But I'm not doing that. I want to replace them with LEDs, and there's really no good option to do that leveraging the same housings. So we're not going to. Instead, I bought these. They're all one-piece kit. All the LEDs are soldered right onto the circuit board. It's all built in, all hardwired. You just have to plug and play, swap this with your old housing. The socket you don't use because there's no bulb. This is basically the bulb. So you got to pop this socket off the wiring harness, and that's just a clip there. And it's just a little tab on the top. We just pry it up, pry it off there. So all you really need is the plug, and the plug will plug and play right in the back of that. Only goes one way, clicks on, and now you have a new light. And it just goes back in the same way the old one did. Harness side in first, then click it down. These are way brighter, and not everybody will like that, right? This is going to add quite a bit more light than the other ones did. It's a little less sort of accent lighting, and it is bright lighting. When it's dark and you're coming up to you open your door, you have a bunch of light shining out, it's kind of nice. If you're just looking for that soft accent lighting, then don't do these. Just replace them with those standard incandescent bulbs. So this is obviously, it's still daylight, but it was daylight the last time I had that picture. When I showed the before picture, you can see how much brighter the interior is with the LEDs. So way more visibility, just kind of cleaner looking light versus that softer yellow light. And then you got the doors, which didn't work at all before. I think it looks pretty nice. We got, let's see, the door lights were 15 bucks, I think, for the pair. And that included a coupons. I think they were maybe 16, maybe 15 with a 10% off or 20% off coupon or something like that on Amazon. The dome lights were same deal. They were $15. And the those T10 map light bulbs were $16.99, but also had a $2 off coupon. So we're under 50 bucks. I know, maybe with tax we're pushing 50 for replacing all of the interior lights with nice bright LEDs. I think it makes a nice upgrade. Modernizes the look, gets more visibility, just cleaner looking. So I like it. If you got any thoughts on this, comment below. If you get different suggestions for different kind of lights, like I said, these lights that I used, they work fine. Like really, like they can make this work. But if you have a better option for different lights or different bulb options, let us all know. Post in the comments below. Like I said, this doesn't have lights in all those other places. Like the rear doors don't have those like puddle lights. They're just reflectors in the back, so there's nothing to replace there. and there's not even any wiring in mind for a light. I don't know if there is on upgraded, you know, like higher package model trucks, or maybe in your vehicle there is. So if you have other places where there's lights, you can replace all those too. So for that one, if you have more, obviously if you have more places where you have to upgrade, well, I mean, that might add a little more cost. But that pack of those T10 bulbs actually has like, what was it, 6 to 8 bulbs in it, 8 or 10 bulbs in it. So in that particular pack, some of the bulbs are also usable for like the license plate, reverse lights. There's other places where maybe some of the upgraded vehicles have a light in the mirror that shines down like a traditional puddle light when you hit the keyless entry. Those are all probably the same bulb, so you can leverage these bulbs for other places within your vehicle, just sort of like your mileage may vary here. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and can be a really visually impactful change. As always, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys very much, and we'll see you next time.